Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic: what kids movie has no right to be as good as it is? Emperor's New Groove. Yzma and Croc are easily the funniest Disney villains of all time. Other villains like Gaston, Ursula, or Scar have funny moments, but ultimately become legitimate, scary threats by the end. Or Frollo or Shan Yu, who have no humor to redeem them at all. Croc and Yzma, however, remain amusing throughout, and survive on top of that. Eartha Kitt and Patrick Warburton had such great comedic delivery. Yzma, that's it, Croc. Break the door down. Croc, break it down, are you kidding me? This is hand-carved mahogany. My favorite will always be Hades with Pain and Panic as sidekicks. Just the perfect combination of funny and scary. The Iron Giant. Second place, The Brave Little Toaster. The Iron Giant has some of the absolutely best animation. My wife always likes to look my way at the ending, she knows the waterworks are coming. She gets a kick out of it. That kid movie and Wreck-It Ralph always get me to cry at the same scene. Ratatouille. A bunch of rats in a restaurant should not make such a great movie. The monologue by Ego at the end always makes me cry. Pure brilliance. I wish I could find this. Someone wrote a thesis paper on Anton Ego describing him as the perfect antagonist. He's an amazing character. The scene where Anton tries REM's dish and it reminds him of his mom gets me. El Dorado, Atlantis, Treasure Planet. Oh, how everyone has forgotten Treasure Planet. There were several factors that ended up meaning that most people considered it a flop when it truly wasn't. Daggett, Jim, I'm an astronomer, not a doctor. Well, I am a doctor, but I'm not that kind of doctor. I have a doctorate, it's not the same thing, you just sit there and you're useless. El Dorado really walks the line on kids' movie with some of the stuff that's in there. More like Childorado. Kung Fu Panda. You'd expect a lot of fat jokes and not much else, but all three movies are fantastic in terms of action, drama, and emotions. I avoided these movies for so long because I thought they looked dumb as hell, and I also don't always care for Jack Black. Then my kids got obsessed with these movies, and every time I watched it I noticed something new and became more and more impressed. It's got a solid story, solid mythology, and the movie is constantly referencing itself and keeping itself aligned with its themes. The fact that the movie is full of scenes of Poe doing random stuff and getting hurt in random ways, and then every single one of those incidents is brought back in the fight at the end, is just amazing to me. I only just realized that in the big fight with Tai Lung in the first one that Poe visualized the dragon scroll as one of Monkey's cookies and used it to climb up the wall face to get it. Incredible continuity with the scene where his kung fu skills first materialized. You saved me. Why? Mucky. How to Train Your Dragon. As a 30-year-old man, it remains my favorite movie of all time. Perfect writing, perfect voice acting, perfect music, perfect animation. Toothless, a dragon with 0 lines of dialogue, has more personality than most kids' movie protagonists. Fun fact, that movie uses more callback lines than any I've ever seen. I counted once and there's more than 15 lines of dialogue that get repeated at different points throughout the movie to show change or character development. This includes, but is not limited to. This is Burke. Thank you for summing that up. You just gestured to all of me. That's for underscore, that's for everything else. Osh, I am hurt, I am very much hurt. I did this. Why didn't you? We're Vikings, it's an occupational hazard. Also notable for having shockingly good sequels as well. The second movie is arguably as good as the first, and the third, while not quite as good as the first two, is nonetheless excellent and a worthy conclusion to the series. And it's the only movie I can remember with positive representation for amputees. It's expected for an amputee to be the villain, we also have that, but not the main character, from movie 2. The learning to fly scene is amazingly well done. Unfairly well done. It gives me chills thinking back to it. It's the moment when Hiccup gives up on planning and strategy and they both just lock in and fly by synchronous instinct. Makes the back of my neck tight just thinking about it. Yep. This scene is fucking perfect. I'm a pilot and every time I watch that moment in the movie it takes me back to my first lessons learning to fly. Makes me tear up every time. Matilda. Danny DeVito and Miss Trunchbull are great. Matilda is such a classic. I remember always trying to move random shit with my mind after watching it as a kid. Never worked and still doesn't, but it's worth a try every time. Megamid. Oh, you're a villain alright, just not a super one. Oh yay. What's the difference? Presentation. This scene is just so good. The Lego Movie. I was expecting it to be a 90-minute toy commercial. Instead it was really, really good, with a good message about creativity and some great songs. Also Lego Batman was better than most live-action superhero movies. I was expecting it to be a 90-minute toy commercial. It's funny you say that because to promote the Lego Movie 2, they had the entire first movie as an ad on YouTube, so it did end up being used as a 90-minute commercial. I feel like I remember hearing that, and also that most people never even realized that it was the whole movie because they skipped it every time. All Wallace and Gromit films are fantastic. But A Grand Day Out was made on £10,000 and you can tell, not because it's shoddy but because not a single movement of its clay animation is wasted. It's perfect. The amount of time and effort that film must have taken baffles me. The ending of A Grand Day Out brings me to tears of delight. Even hits harder with age and experience. It's a box that doesn't talk, and yet you can feel every emotion it's feeling. When you see it skiing up and down and the simple pleasure it's expressing, it's just wonderful. Lilo and Stitch. I watched this again recently as an adult, and I realized it's a story about an older sister trying to keep her family together with some aliens thrown in. Had me crying throughout the whole thing. Much different than how I remembered it as a kid. Yeah, it's really, really heavy. Like they even got Lilo's acting out and tantrums from trying to process losing her parents right. Pudge the fish controls the weather. She has to feed him or it will rain. Her parents died in a car accident in the rain. He's named Stitch so he can stitch the family together. Edit, thanks for the awards. Took me years to figure this out as well. Edit 2, it has been brought to my attention that Lilo also means lost in Hawaiian. My mind is blown once again. 20 years of trying to figure out why that name, and now the truth bomb finally drops for me. And in another 10 years they'll probably stitch a live-action movie together. Wall-E. It has all the right to be as good. It was still made in the golden age of Pixar. Edit, Paddington 2 was the best kids movie ever made. It was one of the 4 films pitched during the lunch meeting following the Toy Story wrap. The others were Bug's Life, Monsters Inc., and Finding Nemo. Edit, this sort of blew up, so I figured I should add my sauce, the Wall-E teaser trailer. The eagle-eyed may recognize the cafe from the scene in Monsters Inc. where Mike and Sully walk to work. The defined dancing scene is absolutely gorgeous. The Goofy movie smacked while I was a kid. And even more so now that I'm a grown-ass man. Edit, glad to see I have this in common with so many people. You all are the goats. Also thanks for the awards. I was an assistant manager at a movie theater when it came out. I could get my family into movies free, but I had to go with them. When that movie came out my little brother begged me to take him. I brought him, my sister and my mom, thinking I'd duck out after a few minutes and shoot the shit in the office with whoever was working. I ended up watching every minute and absolutely loving it. My mother, a woman now well into her 60s, still loves this movie to this day. She pulled out her old VHS copy when we were there for Easter and we all watched it. It 100% holds up over time and I think it's one of the best father/son movies I've ever seen. Edit, thank you for the gold, kind stranger. It showed a side of Goofy I never had seen before, a serious one. I'm grown up, Dad. I have my own life now. I know that. I just wanted to be part of it. That line I will always feel. The soundtrack in that movie is a plus. I is a fucking jam. I and Stand Out are permanently on my workout mix. Up. I am an adult man and the opening sequence just broke my heart. I sobbed like I haven't in a very long time. I feel like everyone forgets the scene where Carl looks through the adventure book. I feel like that is more emotional than the opening. Carl believes that he didn't get to take Ellie on the adventure she wanted, only to realize that their life was the adventure and she wouldn't trade it for anything. Thanks for the adventure. Now go have a new one. I hate to call it a kids movie, just because it's animated, but then it has a flying house and a talking dog. It really does have something for everyone. And boy is it fooey. I love that opening scene so much, by far my Pixar favorite and one of my favorites overall. I can't believe no one has said it, but I personally love The Prince of Egypt. I'm not religious, but that movie is so well made. The soundtrack is fantastic. I get mad chills at Deliver Us. Treasure Planet classic literature meets science fiction interpretation that I found delightful and would watch again and again. I was obsessed with this movie when it came out. I was 15 and so was the main character, and I think I just felt his loneliness and uncertainty about his future so deep down in my soul. It's so hard for kids to deal with that feeling of not belonging and not living up to the expectations being put on you. It felt like the movie was kind of panned upon its release and nobody around me seemed to like it, plus being into animation/Disney movies at age 15 felt so uncool. But this movie basically helped me decide that I wanted to be an animator and make movies and tell stories that could help other people feel less alone too. Now I'm an animator/animation director, and it feels so fitting. It's also really uplifting to see that people appreciate this movie now, even though it got such a lukewarm reception when it first came out. It gives me hope that the stuff I work on that isn't as well received or popular right now might still be reaching people in unexpected places. One sincere kind word about a project I work on still outweighs 100 bad reviews.